Good evening and welcome. You're with us here in Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. China announces reopening of borders after 3 years of their stringent zero-COVID policy. Chinese Health Commission relaxes quarantine requirements for inbound travellers effective 8th of January 2023. Second straight session of gains on Dalal Street as Street digested important cues coming in on the China COVID front. Benchmarks maintain steady stance in the green while broader markets outperform. Tata Motors steers strong towards digitization, says the biggest manufacturing trend in Motown is witnessing a shift from product creation to creating an experience. As India continues to expand its EV footprint, the company sees directional synergies and aspires to assume the bifocal role of manufacturers as well as fleet operators. Shifting focus to the big Q that's been dictating markets today. After 3 whole years, China is reopening its borders to those with work and study visas. The move marks a major shift from their stringent zero-COVID policy. Inbound travellers will no longer be subject to quarantine effective January 8, 2023. Incoming travellers will still need to provide negative RT-PCR results on arrival. The cap on the number of flights allowed into the country will also be scrapped. The Chinese National Health Commission has formally downgraded COVID-19 to a Class B infectious disease. Bulls battling the bears to help indices maintain a firm stance in the green. The Nifty topping 18,100 to end the session nearly 120 points higher. Sensex 2 closing with gains of 360 points. Global facing sectors like metals had a shimmering day with gains upwards of 2%. This on the back of news coming in from China as the country announced relaxations on their COVID curbs. Broader markets also fared well in today's session, stocks outperforming their larger peers. Hindalco, Tata Steel, JSW Steel among the top 3 gainers on the Nifty today. Tata Motors and ONGC, some of the other top movers. On the losing end, it was the FMCG pack, Hindustan Unilever, Nestle taking a U-turn. Also names like Apollo Hospitals, M&M and ITC. Let's hear out some views coming in from Mr. Choklingam of Economics Research on what he makes of the moves in the market and some of his picks going ahead.
I would say that, avoid fertilizer stocks. There are 2 things. One, the government intends to sell fertilizer under a Bharat brand. So this is a big negative. All the big leaders who spend a lot of money on building brand, they would suffer a lot. And also, a couple of days back, IFCO has mentioned that they are developing nano-fertilizer. Is going to compete with the conventional fertilizers. If they are able to succeed, that also will be a major negative. And sugar is always cyclical. I would say that if they keep rallying, take the profit out, because the sugar prices, both the domestic and international market, they are not conducive for the industry at all. And you focus on stocks like HDFC Bank, Reliance Industry, Titan, HDFC Life in the Nifty Sensex stocks. I believe Reliance is emerging as an economy, and I continue to believe that in next 4 years, Reliance can double the stock price because of unlocking. The kind of progress they are making in the retail and telecom is a phenomenal. HDFC Bank, it is going to be evergreen 18% growth story, and Titan also a lot of announcements on growth, and HDFC Life also beaten down a solid growth stock. So outside Nifty, I would suggest stocks like Oracle Financial Software, and small cap for 23. I would present 4 ideas for possible wealth creation. One is Cyient. I like this stock. The management has mentioned 60 rupee EPS is possible for FY24. So if they are able to achieve, this will be one of the cheapest mid-sized IT companies, and promoter holding is very low, similar to what I saw for Mindtree. I am not forecasting or misleading people that this will be taken over, but I am pretty confident that IT industry as a whole will go through a lot more consolidation acquisition, because the industry is growing only at 4% annually in dollar term. So that will push for more consolidation, and if it happens in the industry, Cyient will be one of the beneficiary. Otherwise also it is one of the cheapest stocks.
Possibly some of the capital goods, industrials, infra, real estate, cement names, a huge basket, Mr. Chokalingam. But as we count down to budget, anything there that looks interesting to you?
Yes, capex, the government would definitely do, increase the capital expenditures because 24 budget might be, a budget of welfare, because normally the welfare schemes are announced close to the election, not in the distant past, because voters will forget. So therefore, this government might focus heavily on capital expenditure to usher in growth further in 23 budget. So the budget is going to be year of capex plan, and therefore capital expenditure capital goods companies like maybe Siemens one can look at, and also the banking, nothing to do with the budget, but a phenomenal structural change which our market has noticed and rewarded, and still I believe it's a long way to go because the credit growth, after crashing to as low as 5% during COVID pandemic, it has now picked up to 15 to 17%. It's a record level of growth in the last 10 years. And it is coming at a time when NPA cycle has come down a lot. And, therefore, one should stay invested and should have a lot of tilt towards banking sector. And that is where one can look at HDFC Bank and even high beta names like, Kotak Bank or Axis Bank. So that would be my strategy.
In the run-up to the Union Budget 2023, the centre is envisaging a lower disinvestment target of close to 35,000 crore rupees. In the current fiscal, it's unlikely that they'll be able to achieve their target of 65,000 crores. Business Today's Karishma Sadani gets a brief snapshot of all the strategic sales discussed and that came to life in the current fiscal.
Well, as we move on to the end of 2022, let us take a look at the disinvestment report card so far. Well, as you remember, the centre pegged a target of rupees 65,000 crore for the financial year 2022-2023. Now, while the target is not yet achieved, let's have a look at what has come into the disinvestment collection box until now. Now, let's have a look at the three major cases. The government has been speaking about the disinvestment of Life Insurance Corporation over the last few years. The IPO took place between May 4th and May 9th, 2022. The government then sold 3.5% of the LIC stake for rupees 21,000 crore. Importantly, before the IPO, the government amended the LIC Act in 2021 to allow for disinvestment. Now, if we go to the second one, which is the BPCL, the government had decided to push the sale plans of BPCL forward. In fact, the oil minister recently also shared that due to green energy transition issues, BPCL will be pursued at a later stage. Now, talking from the aviation perspective, the government also had to put its sale of Pawan Hans on hold over winning bidder concerns. This has also reintroduced the concept of proper compliance, which bidders will be required to follow in all future sale processes. Now, let's talk about what has been shining, and it has to be the much-awaited IDBI Bank sale. The last date for submitting an expression of interest for the strategic disinvestment of IDBI Bank sale was extended to January 7th. From the present last date of December 16, the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management said in a notice, the government had sought bidders for selling 60.72% of IDBI Bank Limited, held by the government and Life Insurance Corporation of India, along with the transfer of management control through strategic disinvestment, which began in October. The government also intends to begin the bidding process for Shipping Corporation of India as soon as the demerger process is completed, which is expected to be as soon as early next year. And of course, government is looking to begin with the sale process for Concor. The government is also looking to launch the sale process of the residual stake in Hindustan Zinc and BEMIL. In fact, if you remember, they hold close to 29% in Hindustan Zinc. Now, let's talk about the goals and how the chart is currently looking at. Now, well, let's have a look at the chart, and if you see, it's the 65,000 crore disinvestment target that the government is having, out of which they've been able to achieve close to 23,000 crore of disinvestment receipts. But they're also going very strong on dividends. So if you see, in terms of the total DIPAM receipts, they've been able to get close to about 63,000 crore, but that still does not fulfill the target that they are currently holding. Now, moving ahead, let's not forget that DIPAM has reiterated a lot of times that it is not about targets but making assets out of this whole process that they target at. In fact, if you remember, Business Today Television was the first one to tell you that government has already started to chart out its plan for the next disinvestment sale, and keeping in mind the target that they're going to announce in the next budget, we are being told that government could look at close to 35,000 crore target, which is of course going to be a lesser target in comparison to last few years.
Business Today TV's Associate Editor Chetan Bhutani spoke with Gopinath Jairaj, Chief Information Officer at Tata Motors, and asked him how the company is leveraging technology in delivering innovative mobility solutions and a better consumer experience. Let's listen in.
Taking your question forward, don't you think that, it's a very kind of a personal question as well. Having so much data, having so much technology ultimately would give you, a distraction while driving. So don't you think the features should be lessened? In fact, India is a market where more features, the better the features, the more the features, the better it is. But yes, but in long term, don't you think that this is going to be eventually a hazard for the public and eventually be more distractive?
You are right, Chetan, and I think safety is extremely important. We pride ourselves on safety. We are also the best rated as far as crash ratings are concerned in the country. The point about driver distraction is extremely important, and I think you're very right to say that. The application that I just mentioned are designed to be used offline when they are outside the car. They are not to be used when they are actually driving, and there's no real value when they're actually driving it. This is the values coming from augmenting the experience when they're outside the car. So that's for the first point. The second point is the experience that the customers have when they're inside the car are more driven by the audio visuals and the infotainment that sits inside the car or the truck. The trucks are equally well equipped with infotainment and audio visuals today, which are designed in such a way that they enhance and support the driver's attention to the road. Eyes have to be on the road and on being alert and being able to support that objective. So that's something that we are doing as an outset with as a design paradigm in our mind. The other thing is we're also doing things to improve that. For example, we are in the process of introducing driver behavior alerts in case that specifically in our commercial vehicles, our truck drivers are working long hours and late hours driving vehicles all across our country. If the driver is experiencing drowsiness, we are actually introducing technology inside our vehicles that will detect it and give an alert to the driver saying you need to stop by the next dhaba, which will also be told to him in a very proactive manner, and take a chai and take some rest so that you are going to lessen the chances of an accident. So that is the core focus that we have, and definitely whatever technology interventions we do are there to improve it. The second point is on the features. I think you're right. More is not necessarily better. So it's more about curating it in such a way that it helps the customer's journey.
Any interesting trend you'd like to talk about for the automotive sector as far as manufacturing goes in the tech space or digitization space for 2023? Do you think would there be any more leverage available or any more technology, artificial intelligence available, or 3D manufacturing? What are the trends you're overseeing now?
So I think the big trend is about shifting the mindset from creating a product to creating an experience. But that at the heart of it changes a lot of things for us. We are looking to go get more and more outcome based. So on the passenger vehicle side, we are going to be seeing a lot more about shared mobility, about people experiencing a product, not necessarily being an owner, but also being a part of it either as through a shared mobility framework or through other options like subscriptions, which is very interesting area now, which is coming up. The other thing is on the commercial side, definitely the focus is shifting towards again outcomes, right? So for example, the government is no longer buying buses anymore, right? Especially electric buses. They are expecting us to just give a contract which will run the bus for a certain period of time with a certain distance to be covered, right? So those are completely outcome based, where we stop becoming a manufacturer. In addition to being a manufacturer, we are also a fleet operator. So those type of directional movements which have already happened this year are going to get more and more predominant when the object that is being purchased is an experience or an outcome rather than a product. And internally, we are aligning our technology to make sure that these things are happening in a streamlined fashion, and we are ready for it. And we are ahead of it as and when the demand keeps picking up in these different areas.
Right. Any investment numbers you could give us, what the company or the parent company is putting in as far as digitization goes or artificial intelligence goes in manufacturing?
No, I would not put specific numbers, but I can just say that the trends, right? The trends of investments are very clearly skewed towards the digital side. I would say that our trend is to the direction where we are crossing to the point where the majority of our investments are on the digital rather than on running the core business. I'm specifically talking about the technology piece, right? So I'm not talking about the product development, which is of course a different aspect of it. So I would really say that we are spending more on our digital solutions today than we are spending on our traditional projects, which are the usual IT projects that usually are run. I know that is really going a little bit more into the minority. And that really shows the mindset of the leadership saying that the solutions of the future, the problems of the future and the solutions of the future are addressed really by the digital core that we are building up inside our company and all the solutions that we are putting out there. In terms of just a sense of numbers, since you asked, I mean, I'm not talking about investment numbers, but we used to have two core systems with us, ERP and CRM as our core systems within Tata Motors and as an IT. Today we have those still there, but we also have 5 distinct digital platforms, which if you put the numbers of usage together, they are about 3 to 4x the kind of usage that we have on our core system. So really speaking, the real usage of our end customers, both from internal and external, are happening on a digital platform rather than our core systems. And that's also something that Tata Motors has invested and built on. So it's our own IP, built by our own teams using, of course, partners, but really it's our own Tata Motors IP that is driving this whole thing.
The figures are shocking, to say the least. The IT sector, which prides itself as a dream paymaster, seems to be anything but. A Business Today TV analysis shows that while CEO salaries in top-tier IT companies rose 1,500% on an average in the past 10 years, the salary of freshers was up only 45 to 50%.
Retrenchments, delayed hirings, offer letters dishonored. This is what IT sector employees have been facing in the past few months. And now, a Business Today TV analysis of corporate annual reports throws the lid off another dark underbelly of the IT sector. Something all tech employees knew, but few ever spoke about it. The fact is that the IT sector has witnessed stunted salary hikes for freshers in the past 10 years compared to their CEOs. The salaries of freshers have increased a little over 45%, while the salaries of CEOs have zoomed around 1,500%.
The fundamentals of management is that if you were to spend even part of your marketing budget in enthusing, encouraging, enabling your employees, you will get 10x higher results than you get in any other way. You must understand innovation happens on 2 axes. Innovation happens on what you do, and innovation happens on how you do it. While CEOs are focused on new product, new pricing, new strategies, they should also focus on cultural transformation and how you execute those strategies.
An analysis of the average salary packages of IT sector CEOs and freshers sourced from earnings report data and publicly available information shows that freshers' salary has gone up only 47% in the past 10 years, while the salary of CEOs have shot up whopping 1,492%. Moreover, the median salary of CEOs is up to 1,449%, while that for freshers is only up 40%. In TCS, while the salary of the CEOs rose to 26 crore from 8 crore rupees, that of a fresher rose just 150%. In Infosys, the CEO's salary rose 98 times, while the freshers got just a 31% gain in 10 years. Wipro CEO's salary jumped 14.5 times, while a fresher's salary jumped just 46%. HCL Tech gave its CEO a 14-fold hike, while its freshers received a 17% salary hike in 10 years. Tech Mahindra CEO got a 6,300% hike, while its freshers got just a 36% hike.
Employees are completely disengaged. If you go by Gallup survey, the amount of demotivation or disengagement with the organization purpose, its ethos, and it's the way the employees are being dealt with is at its lowest. And therefore, the employees are searching for meaning in life, meaning in work, meaning and respect for their own capability and competence, which they have worked very hard for 25 years to get to that position. They are seeking that validation outside the work environment.
Experts believe that one of the reasons for the stunted salary hike of freshers is the fact that freshers often do not have the skills that the industry requires. Companies often have to give them domain skills as well as soft skills for them to work in teams. This adds a lot to the cost of the company, and hence companies are not able to pass it down to the freshers in the form of monetary benefits. This was Akanksha Chaturvedi for Business Today TV.
The government has set out to make life easier for you. Sources have confirmed to Business Today TV that come December 2024, all mobiles and smartphones will have a common charger. Work is also in progress to develop a common charger for wearable electronic devices.
It is ironical. One of the most innovative companies of all times, Apple is probably the worst offender as far as charging standards are concerned. While all other mobile handset manufacturers followed a similar format of charging cables, Apple had its own design and format and hasn't budged from its stance till now. It is only now that the Cupertino-based tech major is falling in line thanks to the regulatory pressure and adopting the USB-C format. This June, the European Union set the ball rolling by making it mandatory for all small and medium electronic devices to adopt the USB-C format by autumn 2024. Laptop manufacturers have been given another 40 months to comply. EU claims that the move will save residents of its 27 nations €250 million every year on charging cables and 11,000 tons in e-waste. The Indian government also decided to untangle the charger mess and plans to make Type-C USB ports the common standard for chargers beginning December 2024. The government, in tandem with IIT Kanpur, is also working on developing a common charger for wearable electronic devices. According to government sources, not only will this declutter wiring, the move will also help manage supply chains and reduce e-waste. Handset charging has rapidly evolved over the past 2 decades into the most prevalent formats today. The oldest format is the micro USB charger used in most handsets until about 2 years ago. It has maximum data transfer rate of 480 Mbps and can deliver up to 4.5 watts of power, enough for a basic smartphone. The lightning cable used by Apple has a similar data transfer rate but delivers 20 watts of power. The latest format is the USB-C with a much enhanced data transfer rate and the ability to even charge laptops. The micro USB is still being used by feature phones and most electronic gadgets like speakers, wireless headphones, anything that needs a recharge. The lightning cable is an Apple proprietary product currently used for all iPhones, iPads and AirPod cases. What the latest Android handsets use is the USB-C cable, a format even Apple is slowly veering towards and is the new global format. All eyes meanwhile are on Apple and how it will adapt to the turning tide. Apple is slowly changing course, adopting the USB-C format in the latest MacBooks and accessories. However, with 2 years still to go, the company may yet pull an ace out of its sleeve and discard cables altogether and go wireless. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
And that's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.